We call the meeting to order. This meeting of the Ripon Area School District Board of Education has been properly noticed in accordance with the open meeting law and state statute 19.84 and related legal references. We are one of Wisconsin's finest school districts, fostering excellence for all through innovation. And our first thing on our agenda tonight is to recognize the National FBLA competitors. Come on up.
Good evening. Two of the four are with me this evening because the other two have work commitments, so they couldn't be here. But Joan's going to start with, I put together a slideshow to show you a highlight of what we did when we were in Atlanta for nationals. So she'll start with that.
The luggage arrived, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Definitely a relief.
Wet sock.
Yep.
How did you travel? We hired a transportation company while we were there.
Nice.
It's a company we've used the last 2 times we've been in.
Is that the real coach?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool,
color and
yeah.
stuff.
One of the big band theater set is there this year.
Penny?
Oops, sorry, girls. Your heads off. Were there a lot of people from Wisconsin?
500, and there's 15,000 total that were at the conference.
Nice.
Across the United States.
That's great for Wisconsin then.
Mhm.
How exciting.
That's awesome.
I'm going to let you them tell you about it.
Okay.
So we're just gonna share a couple of things, like what we learned, our favorite parts, and then also something that we would, like some advice for the future nationals competitors, just stuff like that. So my favorite part was definitely the pin training. I don't know if you saw the picture I was holding up. That was so fun. Basically, every state had their own pin. Like we designed it, and so you could buy it from your state officer, and then you could trade it with other different states, and even like, I mean, there was people from everywhere. There's people from Puerto Rico. That was my favorite pin. It's like a little frog pin. It was so cute. And then something I learned with all of the workshops that we went to, one of the things I learned was definitely how to be a better future officer, since both me and Sage will be officers this coming school year. I learned a lot of leadership skills and also like how to use my strengths and my weaknesses to help improve my leadership abilities, which is really, really neat to learn about how I can become a better leader for my chapter.
That's great.
And then something I would recommend for the future competitors would definitely be to like go out of your comfort zone and try something you wouldn't think you would really be into. Because digital video, it's such like it's just kind of like a random thing for me. I never really had any experience in editing or things like that, but since I tried it, I learned that I really enjoy it, and it was definitely something new that taught me a lot of things. I now know how to edit, kind of, which is I feel like it's a pretty useful skill to have, and it was definitely out of my comfort zone, which really helped me grow into the person I am.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so my favorite part of the trip, other than the actual conference, which there was just so much I learned there. It was a great experience, but I also really liked exploring the area. Like, it's not just the competing, you're also visiting a new place. So trying new foods and seeing new places, like you saw the Ripon studio tour, that was super cool. Yeah, it was just a great experience. I learned a lot that whole trip, but I would say the most valuable thing for me, one workshop that we did was on networking. So just like basic networking skills and talking about the importance of networking, I think is super valuable, and I'm so glad that I got to experience that. And then something I would say to future competitors is make the most of it. You know, sometimes you're tired, you don't want to put enough work into your presentation, but it's so worth it, and it's definitely something you'll remember competing. And I would also say that you need to just trust Mrs. Schmidt sometimes. She gives you a lot of advice, but she knows what she's talking about. She's a great leader, and we really appreciated her throughout our whole experience.
Awesome help. Yep.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So when you're networking, what's your first approach to somebody you don't know? How do you approach somebody?
Sure. So the first thing we learned is to just introduce yourself and do it with a smile. That's always the best way to make someone comfortable. And then people really like to talk about themselves a lot. So if you just start asking questions, that's a great way to start a conversation.
Ask them about themselves, right?
Yep.
Yes. Very good tool to have in your bag. So I can tell you are very well spoken, both of you.
Thank you so
So
much.
whatever you've learned, practice. You don't say a lot of ums or, you're very poised.
Thank you so much.
What grade are you guys?
We're both going to be juniors.
Yeah, we're going.
Okay. So 2 more years.
Yes.
So what are you going to try next year?
We had a lot of success with this event. I think most of that was due to the prompts. It was the importance of tourism in your community or in your state. And I grew up in Green Lake, and we all spent a lot of time in Green Lake. So that was pretty easy to put together videos since I just, we understand pretty deeply the effects of tourism.
And so it'd be great to find another prompt.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter the category, but something that we connect with is really great to go off.
On a personal level.
Yeah.
I guess part of what I was curious about is the comment you made about getting out of your comfort zone. Were you going to stay in your comfort zone next year, or are you going to try something different?
I think I'm going to try something new. I think it would be really cool to put all my work into something and try to master it again. Obviously we'd prefer to go a little bit further in the national competition, and maybe if we try again with a little uncomfortable prompt, maybe we can get there.
So how many pins did you come back with?
Oh, quite a bit. I started with 6?
I gave you guys each 6.
Yeah, I started with 6. I think I ended with about 10, 12.
Great. That must be like a tradition thing.
It
I
is.
remember hearing that.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's like the big thing that takes place, like the covet, and there's always a coveted pin, there's always one that everybody wants from a particular state or Puerto Rico and things like that. So it is, that's one of the best parts of, there's a Dolly Parton pin.
That's cool.
So did you get one of those coveted ones?
Yes, I had the alien from Nevada. Yeah, that one was really cool. It was sparkly, it was really cute. I really liked that one. I didn't get rid of that one.
What was on the Wisconsin one?
It was a little cow in an FBLA business suit.
It had a little Wisconsin
Yeah.
tag. bag.
And like sunglasses, yeah, everybody liked ours. They really wanted those out more.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and every year they change, like every year the states make a new one.
Okay.
Wisconsin used to do it every other year, but starting this year, we're doing a new pin every single year. Our state leader does that. They do a competition, so the kids can actually create one and send it in, and then all the kids at state vote for the pin they want to represent the state.
Did you, what was my question? It was about the pins, but, do you know what they look like before you get there? Do you have like or how do you find out what you want? Is there like?
The pins?
Yeah.
Oh,
Networking.
Oh, the
yeah, we
networking.
didn't. We had no idea what they would look like. We got there and you can see them on everybody's lanyard, and then you slowly figure out like where all pins are.
Yeah, so you have to like go up to people and be like, hey, so that's again
kind
a good part of networking, the whole
Yeah, the whole
conference.
theme, so.
It's great.
Can't be shy.
Yeah.
Right. No, we're not shy.
Were you officers this year, or your officers coming into the,
We'll both be officers this coming year.
and what will you be?
I am going to be the director of activities.
I think I'll work with them yet.
I'm pretty sure I'm the director of activities. And I'm the secretary.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A lot to be proud.
And thank you for only making me 60 slides.
Like,
I've been around her and know what she
Thank you very much.
does. 60 is the minimum.
Congratulations, oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
Thank
You
Well done. What was the
too.
best part of food?
Things always.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Did anybody buy anything
So
out of
we
you?
can make kind of
No, we just drove down the other side. We didn't get out of the shop on the day.
We did a lot of shopping.
Thanks for all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm gonna get in here.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Should we hold these?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, we'll do that.
Here we go.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congratulations, girls. Thanks for coming.
And I would just like to say more thank you again for your continued support. This was trip number 9, I think, in person that I've taken kids on, and every year continues to be an experience. This is the 3rd year I've gone to Anaheim with kids, and it didn't disappoint, as always. We had good travel. There, we got delayed on the way back in Vegas. We were stuck in Vegas airport for extra 2 hours, but other than that, it was good. So thank you for your. Thank you.
Public comments? No written comments? No written comments. Public comments? Are there any adjustments to the agenda that anyone would like to make? Okay, then we'll accept the agenda as it's written. Donations.
So I am pleased to share the following donations that were made to the district in the past month. The first 2 donations were for our EL liaison 1-year position. $5,000 was donated by the Hernandez family, and an anonymous donor donated $20,000. The next donation was from Carmen Borelli, and Carmen has donated throughout the course of this year $2,200 to our student needs lunch account fund, which is amazing. And then the next 3 donations are for the Murray Park Playground Project. The Ripon Noon Kiwanis Club donated $500. Greg Dragalovich from Edward Jones donated $1,000, and Alliance Cares donated $1,000 to the Murray Park Playground Project. And then the last of the list of donations are for the Ripon FBLA Nationals to support the girls and Mrs. Schmidt who were just here. So the Ripon Education Foundation donated $3,000, Bruce Patrick donated $2,000, Alliance Laundry Cares $1,200, Picket Lions Club $600, Lee Prolwitz $1,000, Ripon Culvers $516, and Horicon Bank $700. So thank you to everybody for making those donations to support our students in our district.
That's great.
Just curious, how many of you know who Bruce Patrick is?
No idea.
About half. He's a former business teacher.
Okay.
Oh, great.
That's nice. Great. Next on to new business. First off, let's consider, we need a motion to consider approval of the replacement of the Murray Park playground structures.
So moved.
Oh, 1 second here. Denise, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, let's vote. Did it come up for everyone?
No.
Seriously? Or you, I thought maybe you were joking.
Are you saying?
It says I'm saying.
Huh, okay.
And you were the only one last time.
I was the
But it did work, right? Now you're the only one that didn't work.
Well, the interesting thing is he's in red on mine.
Yeah.
He's the only person in red.
Yeah, I see that too.
I'll go back in.
Okay. I'm not gonna do that. Glasses.
It says I'm saying, but I can't sing.
Here comes the guy. Do you ever clear and revote?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Usually we don't have to, because usually it really is just a question of getting it out.
Sure. That's always worked for me. I don't just kind of log out and log back in.
But there have been times when we've had to just start over.
Okay.
They're real. I have no idea. Sometimes I gotta be just around.
All right. Unanimously voted in
If I
favor.
say I'm unsynced, does that matter? I'll just stay unsynced.
Because I stay in the same.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Passed unanimously. Next item. Do I have a motion to put the concrete repairs on the floor?
Motion to.
Tom?
Second.
Chris? Any discussion?
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Let's vote. Did it work? Chris, did it work?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that passed unanimously as well. Next item. Do I have a motion to put the staffing adjustment for the Ripon High School? I believe it's to add a .5 English teacher. Do we have a motion?
Motion. I'll second.
Okay. Jessica. Stephanie. Any discussion?
Just clarification, because it's a while since I looked at it. If I remember correctly, we have overloads in English, and so this will wipe out the overloads.
That's how I understood it.
And thanks to Travis
Yes.
for relinquishing some funding.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea
Solid amount.
where that's gonna impact?
I do have like some newer equipment I was looking at, some things that we might need to do, but I can put some of it off or do partial 1 year and partial another year. It's not a big deal. We'll work through it.
Thank you.
Well, that's right, that was the question I wanted to ask, because you said that you thought you could find lower costs.
Yeah, we have some equipment that we found lower costs on, some of the systems we're looking at, and some of it we'll be able to split over years. We'll be fine.
That's great. All right, anything else? Let's vote. That all passed unanimously. new business. Oh, we have one thing here, I'm sorry. Motion to put the audio system for Ingalls Field. We need to,
It's actually an information.
yeah, just information on the next one.
I do have one update for this. The old amp, which is a minimum of 10 years old, that was up there that is not working. The company that was going to fix it said it was too old. They weren't able to. They tried to fix it, and they were not able to fix it. But on the bright side, they said they have an amp, a used amp that we can use anytime for as long or short as we need that free of charge, just as part of a thank you for working with us. And it's different than who we would be getting the system from. It's local.
Nice.
So I was a little confused, on, we had proposals from people.
Yep.
But then they were high, I mean, they were in the $42,000 range, but we're asking for $5.
Yeah, so there were a few different things. I looked at some of the local companies that did some of the different fields and sporting areas around here. So they were a little bit higher cost for a lot of them. And then it was brought to my attention, Randolph had a system from this company, and they actually ship it out and we do the installation. It's, what's nice, it's in like a box. It's almost portable with all the equipment in there. We mount the speakers and run the speaker wire to the booth so that we can hook it up to the amp and everything in that box. We can remove that box then over the winter and store that away. Or if we move forward at any point with redoing anything out there with the bleachers or the press boxes, we can easily take down the speakers, the wiring, that, and then put it into the new booth, bleachers, whatever we need to do in the future. So it's more of like, I don't want to say it's a portable system. It's not as full range as I would say some of them have been looked at, but it is much better than what we have in Butte Creek.
Okay, that was such a big difference. So I
Yes,
wasn't
yes.
quite sure
And
what
quite
was going on.
easy to use. They give us a laminated piece of paper that basically is one side and tells you how to do everything. The owner I spoke with is available 24/7 for any questions we might have. He said he's been out on his boat at 7 o'clock at night and gotten calls from different sporting events. He goes, it's never more than 3 minutes to get through it. I was trying to reach out to different schools that had this put in, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get a hold of any of them. But I know that there was one school up north that got one for their football field, loved it so much they got it for their indoor gymnasium, their basketball court, and absolutely loved it. And then Vince had used one in Randolph and said it was so easy to use, he had 0 issues with it. He said it was just, you looked at that piece of paper, there's 2 things you pushed and you were done.
Would this be on target for this fall?
We would actually be able to get it if I were to put in the order tomorrow. I checked with them, they said we would get it that first full week in August. We anticipate about, I want to say a full day to do the installation and testing. Honestly, it would probably be closer to half a day to have the speaker wires running, because it's just, it'll be on the press box itself, all the speakers. And then that'll probably be a couple hours, and then a couple hours to test it. But I want to give it a full day just to be prepared so that we have everything ready. So I would hope that that second full week in August, we have it in there and tested. I talked with Brian about getting that done so we can have it ready for all the sporting events. That was another big push.
So, but then the question here is, then should this be turned into an action item? If he wants to order it tomorrow,
Yeah.
Otherwise it won't be ordered until,
we'd be waiting a month, and that'd be way too late.
yeah. How do we do that?
We
I don't know, so, because the funds were donated specifically for Ingalls Field, I don't know that we need to take action, because you've already approved receiving of the funds, and they were designated to be spent on Ingalls Field, which is what this would do. So I think that's why it was shared as an informational item.
Okay.
How many speakers is there gonna be?
It would be 4 speakers all on the press box, and they tell us which way to like angle them for the best coverage.
That was gonna be my next
Yeah,
question.
they suggest the back of the end zones on the outside too, and then the 35-yard line on the inside too. And then you do have separate controls, so maybe you only need the inside two. You can just have those 2 on instead of, all 4 of them on, so you have independent control on all the speakers as well.
That's great.
I know in the past, we had speakers pointed the wrong way and sound was terrible, it goes back.
Yes.
This system will be completely adequate for it, and there's only speakers on one side, right, and that'll be able to cover the visitor side as well. no concerns with that. Quality products. I did the price out myself just as, kind of see what it is. I priced it out about anywhere between $15,000 to $16,000, so obviously he's a big buyer from these companies, so he gets some good discounted rates and is able to pass those along. All quality equipment, all stuff I've used before, I've seen before, so, yeah, it's gonna be just fine for that field.
Now you know what I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said fine for the field.
Hmm?
How is that going to work in the spring when you need to hear the camps for the calls for the runs where they're out by the, where the old college hammer throw used to be? Is that gonna be?
The owner said that they will be able to hear this if we wanted to, all the way to Quick Trip. You could set up a chair and listen to games and announcements from there.
Please don't take this wrong way.
No.
I know, we've heard that a couple times.
Yep.
Over the previous years and at track meets, you can't hear it. So that's it's a viable concern
Absolutely.
to make sure, so.
This is a significantly better speaker than we put in 12 or 13 years ago, right? Technology has changed a lot in that, and the ability to bring it in is it's a three-way speaker, so there's obviously top, middle, and bass with it as well. You're not gonna get it's not gonna shake you in your seat on a bass, but you are gonna be able to at least hear it. And yeah, right. So I believe with the proper positioning on those at the 35s and the end zones, that'll be able to get covered that too. So.
At very worst, if nothing else, they can possibly be moved to direct.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little easier than what we've had in the past, if they're gonna be mounted posts.
Limited amounts of wiring, so everything's going to be contained up in the ceiling of the press box. It looks like so.
Nice.
The problem we saw with the other system is we got a lot of hands on it, right? And everybody likes to turn it to 12 and just keep going, and then you start blowing up mixers and blowing up amps, and I think speakers are okay still, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at on that. So if we can keep as many hands off of it, that would be ideal for us.
Is there a way to throttle it? So that
There's a way to gate that, I believe, too. But this system also, I would say, is expandable as well. It's a 7-channel mixer. We're only going to be using two or three, right, by the time it's all done. So if we wanted down the line to add an additional wireless mic or official's microphone, those kind of things down the line, it's able to be put in pretty easily. So.
I have two questions. Is there an ability to add a portable speaker to that side of the field if?
Yeah, there would probably be a way to, not necessarily a portable speaker, you'd probably have to put another one up, maybe if we needed to look at that side, but.
And then my other question is, I have no idea how these work, but is this something that could potentially be used in the theater?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, if we wanted two separate animals.
Okay.
Yeah. So, they're fully outdoor, all-weather speakers, right, so they'll live there forever. So, we won't have anything that we need them for there.
Okay, I didn't know if like
No.
an actual board or whatever.
No.
The portable thing?
The portable
Yeah.
thing.
It is nice so that we can take it out of the elements, at least like the
Sure.
electronics during the winter months, and we can put it in where it's nice and warm instead of being 22 below or something like that, so. But good price point, and I think it's gonna be a great, fix forward field. So.
Thank you for looking into this.
Absolutely.
It's something that definitely needs to be done.
Yes. Thank you for the information and also for answering questions.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
And thanks for being so thorough, thinking about not only today, but if we wanted to integrate other things in the future. So I appreciate that a lot.
That worked out really well.
Awesome.
Order away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do that tomorrow.
Y'all have a good night, thank you.
Thanks, yeah, take care.
Bye. All right. Next we have personnel. Do you have a motion to approve, I believe it's 7 professional staff? You have a motion to put that on the floor?
Oh, motion.
Okay, Jessica, a second?
I'll second.
Denise? Any discussion? I see two people are coming back?
I have a question. The tech ed position, does that person have a degree in that?
So I wanted to do.
That person will be working in partnership with us to obtain a certification. Currently certified, if that's your question, no, but we'll be working on it, already taking steps that way.
This has been my concern, and I think we have a week to get it for quite a few years.
And Mike, he was here prior. What did he teach before?
Special education.
Okay. Right. And Holly was here before. I believe as a counselor as well. Any other discussion? All right, we'll vote. Passes unanimously. All right. Any items on the consent agenda that anyone would like to remove?
Yeah, I'd like to remove the policy issue. Which I don't see. Where is it?
8.7, right?
Yes.
Technical updates?
That's one.
And then do I go through and just approve the rest?
And then we just vote on the rest of it.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Tom?
Second.
Chris? Let's vote. That passed unanimously. All right, now go to goes down to the, it's under the next heading. It popped up for me as number 25.
What is that? Yeah. It's 9.1 on the thing up there.
Yeah. Do you see it? Does everybody get it? Okay, do I have a motion to put this on the floor? No?
Yep, no, I got it.
Okay.
Sync.
Now you are synced?
Yeah, I'm sitting, I won't be able to go there.
Do I have a motion to put this on the floor?
Yeah, motion.
Denise? Second? Stephanie? Okay, discussion.
Okay, so I have a question. So first of all, the way the memo comes out, it's not exactly, well, what the situation is. 2266 is the original policy. It's been in effect for years. And 2264 came into effect last July. And they're not exactly the same policy. And so my question is, what is it about 2264 that we need to get rid of? Because it's got things in it that are not covered in the other policy. Things like no discrimination for pregnancy and things like that, that aren't in the other one. And I'm assuming that the issue, and this could be wrong, I'm assuming the issue is simply the fact that the current administration doesn't like the interpretation of Title IX of the previous administration, and the language at the beginning of 2264 says that this goes with that.
You are.
Is that correct?
And the Neola representative that supports us is who shared the council to say that you probably want to think about this because it's a duplicate.
Yeah, and my problem is it's not a duplicate, so I have no problem. I mean, obviously, if we wanted to keep 2264, we have to do something to merge it with 2266. It looks like the only thing that has to happen is the stuff at the beginning that refers to Title IX and says this is the version of Title IX we're talking about, probably just has to be wiped out and then it would be fine. I'm not sure that would be something to look at.
We can investigate that.
But I think it's important to go back and look because 2266 can be written much more clearly than it is. I think it's a really complicated and confusing policy the way it's written. And some of that got cleaned up in 2264. The parts that overlap got cleaned up in 2264. So I guess what I'm suggesting is that this go back to the policy committee to figure out how to combine the stuff in 2264 that would be missing if we just rescind it and come up with a better written 2266, so maybe even a brand new policy that just covers both of them or something like that. That's, I guess, what I'm suggesting. Nothing that we necessarily have to vote on, it could just be sent back to the policy committee, but I couldn't say all of that stuff without taking out the
Correct,
concern.
makes sense.
Well, it's a lot to look at back and forth. I think when we did the policy, we did edit some of the redundancy, and we, and the other one, but I'll be honest, I was going back and forth and trying to find like all the pieces that were not the same, and the one that you mentioned, I found it.
There isn't a whole lot, it doesn't go into as much detail as 2266 does on this, on sexual harassment and that kind of stuff. It makes it clear enough, I think, though. The other one goes into kind of the amount of detail that probably ought to be in the administrative guideline for the policy. I just think it would be nice to send it back to the policy committee and come back with a recommendation for probably a merging with.
So did you just make that motion?
Yeah, I will after that.
Do we have to,
Well, we have a motion on the
yeah,
floor.
we have to
so-
answer this first, right? So do we vote, we're still voting on whether or not to rescind it? Is that what we're doing? Because that was the first motion. Okay. So any other discussion?
Do we have a policy committee?
We're gonna have one tonight, right?
We're gonna
That's our plan.
The current one was stated anyway.
Yeah, it's a question, I mean, we've had an ongoing policy committee of anybody that wants to be involved in policy. So it's just that we do it separately and then bring it back to the board meeting, and it's usually only been 3 people who have wanted to be involved, sometimes 4 people. So I don't know whether we have one or not after the reorganization. It's been kind of just in the background the whole time. It was never on the same level as the other committees that we had in terms of regular meetings and things like that.
Since I've been on the board, it's been really the only committee that met separately at all
Yeah.
from the work.
So it's a good question as to whether we have a policy committee.
Right?
Hmm?
Yeah. So I did put the vote in, or so you can vote.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
However, if you don't mind me interjecting.
Sure.
So, since this was on the consent agenda, there is no, and now we've moved it, there is no motion that came with it when it got moved off of consent.
Okay.
So, all the item says is to consider approval.
Yeah.
So I would think that if you want to wordsmith a motion to not rescind policy 2264 at this time and move that item to policy committee for consideration and review, that might make sense.
Take care of the whole thing.
What do I need to do?
Well, you guys tell me how you want me to wordsmith the motion and I'll type it in and you can vote.
So, yeah, so I think what Jolene just said is the way to do it. The motion is, and the motion that's on the floor currently is not really on the floor because nobody put words to it, so
Right,
it really is.
correct, right.
Yeah, it wasn't a motion, it was just,
To
I
consider.
made a motion,
Update.
that's all it was, yeah.
it was a motion to talk about it.
So the motion should be, I move that policy 2264 be returned to policy committee for further consideration.
I would second that.
Do I click add motion then?
Stephanie, second that one.
I second.
There we go. Now we can just vote on
Okay,
what's
so
already here.
Chris and Stephanie,
No, it's
David.
David, seconded by Stephanie, so what you have there can just stay.
So I can get out of here. Do we vote on this at all?
It's a question of whether Jolene can get it in or not, whether,
Okay.
Well, the one that's consider technical update,
Right.
rescind, is that the right language for that, or is that?
That's how it was posted on the agenda.
Oh,
Yeah.
so then we would have.
So the motion is
So
down below.
if you just refresh your screen I just typed in the motion that David, and you should see that motion under the motion. Oops, I didn't do the word to, sorry. I move policy 2260, sorry. I move policy 2264 be returned to the policy committee for consideration. I don't have that on mine.
It's at the bottom.
Oh, it's on the bottom.
Under where it says motion on the left, down at the bottom.
Oh, but we're still voting. Up top, it says consider technical update to rescind.
That's just the name of the.
It's the name of
It's
the.
the agenda.
Right, but we're
Do
still.
we have to vote on that though?
No,
We're voting on the
We're voting
motion.
on the motion. I don't see it.
It's
Is that
down at the bottom.
Scroll down.
You don't have it? You can see it.
Should I refresh?
Scroll back up to the top. Yeah.
We're voting on it.
No, that's all, that's the item number.
All right,
agenda.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
And then do I have to go back through and do the attendance again?
You shouldn't have to, I'm not gonna guarantee that.
Okay,
So are you ready?
there it is, I got it.
We should just.
I didn't have to, yay. Okay.
So now we don't vote?
So now we can vote. Thank you. Passes unanimously. Now we're on to superintendent's reports.
Yes. So in terms of legislative updates, the biggest thing recently was the state budget. And what that meant for us is, so special ed funding traditionally has been about 33%. And then in this coming fiscal year in 25-26, it's gonna get bumped up to 42%, which is great. And then we're anticipating in 26-27 another bump up to 45%, which should equate to about $340,000 of new revenue or new funding for us. So I'd say that is by far the biggest legislative update to provide all of you that has a very positive impact on us for sure.
I just have one question too. Now that the CCLC grants are approved, what is the impact? I know we had taken that 100,000 out of the budget. So what does that look like moving forward now?
Jillian, do you want to provide a little background on that?
Yeah, can you just refresh our memories on absolutely everything that
Yeah.
has been bouncing around for a while?
So Title 4B, which is the 21st Century Learning Grant, has been restored. And so that's kind of a surprise. There were 10 GOP senators that asked to restore that funding, and it was done. And so it was done, I think, on July 18th. And so anyways, the bottom line is we're going to have this funding we didn't think we would have. So this is great news. I don't know if other senators are going to come forward and restore Title II or Title III or Title 4A. But it is great news for us. It's great news for anyone who has that grant. It should allow us to restore some sort of a plan for our after-school program on the days, either before and after school. It should help take some of the burden that we have in our Fund 80, our community service levy, and it should help support that. And it's also something that we need to look at about the days when we don't have school. We had 7 days that we had originally planned to use that grant to fund it. Now that the funding is restored, we can start to think about what to do to offer something for students. But we are currently without a director for our break program. The job is posted, it's open, it's posted. So we're hoping we can get somebody good to come in and help us with that. So anyways, a lot of planning to do, and we gotta do it soon. So.
When was the position posted? Has it been out there anywhere?
It's been posted for maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Do we have applicants?
We have one applicant who didn't kind of meet the basic requirements for the job. So.
Okay.
We'll see.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I bring up something that I can get the confirmation something else you said that has to do with
The
this.
seals, sure.
Yeah, not about the CLC, but about the legislative updates.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the, I just went to the summer symposium and one of the, for WASB, and one of the things that they said, because we got a nice increase for special ed and other funding, that they suggested that anybody that can to thank our legislators, email them, whatever, for the increase, for the representation, for all their work, that it's good PR, and it lets them know that we see what they're doing.
There's letter templates out there too.
Yes, yes, there are. And if you go on the WASB website, there's easy ways to find things. They also brought up inviting legislators to the first day of school and even to our annual meeting. Some people do that as well.
Sean,
Yes.
is that your phone?
My phone or something? Oh, no.
That's mine.
Oh, that's yours? Sorry.
All right, next, did your WASB resolutions?
Yep, WASB resolution, so the information has been shared with you about the latest resolutions. If you want to dig into those, feel free. Happy to discuss those at greater length or answer any questions that you have if there's anything specific. I believe the next part is for
Committees.
committees, correct? So one of the things that was discussed back in June was waiting for the July meeting to talk about committee structure. What I'm proposing is a 4-committee structure, policy being one, curriculum instruction, finance, and then community engagement. I'm happy to engage in any discussions that the board would like to engage in about that possible plan. And it's something that we can also talk about at our upcoming board retreat in August as well.
I just have a question of clarification.
Yes.
I know we've mentioned having different committees. I guess I would feel we need to know what are we doing in the committee? You know, what is the charter? You know, how many times we will meet? I know with policy it's a little easier to understand because we have to update policy. You know, based on Neola, we get, 500 policies and we go and review them.
Sure.
So that's easy to me. With curriculum instruction, what is our, the charter, what is our agenda with it? Same with finance and community engagement. So that would be my request, and that, you talk about what is the structure, I guess, of them. Because I think we've, for me, I want to meet with some meat in it.
Correct.
And
Your
have-
objectives.
Yeah, something that we're working with or for or something like that. So-
Absolutely. So in response to that question, I think it would be prudent for us to establish some dates monthly and then identify for curriculum and instruction if we're adopting a new curriculum, if there's an Act 20 update that's relevant that we need to meet. So we'll pull together those agenda items well in advance of those dates. And then have the meeting if they are going to be meaty, to use your word. And if there isn't anything that needs our attention in a committee, then I think we would forego that month and just look at the next month. That would be my suggestion, just because it's harder, my experience anyway, is that it's harder to find dates after the fact. So it's easier to just put the dates out there and then pull one back if we don't need it. And I would follow the same piece around finance. I know there was a couple of questions about if there were personnel updates or different things as well. I think finance is the place to do that because there's a definite fiscal impact when you're talking about personnel. It's our biggest, actually.
That was my question.
And then community engagement, we do a great job of asking for feedback from our stakeholders. And I think taking a look and digging into that data and setting the course for us and setting some goals would be a good idea. So that's why I had suggested that one, just from the community piece. And I guess I would follow the same monthly organization, and if we find out that that's too often, then we can pull those back and go every other month, or whatever we see fit.
And we also, so we have work committees too, scheduled monthly, right? And we don't always use them.
The work sessions.
Work sessions.
Yeah, so I don't know if that would be.
Those work sessions kind of took the place of committee meetings, because we used to do this. These are basically the 4 committees we had before. I just want to throw out something for you to think about, because for me, it was a problem and why I was in favor of getting rid of committees. And it's that, first of all, a committee can't have more than 4 people on it, because if it has more than 4 people on it, and they make it basically, if they come to, then they're doing the board's work. Because you know the 5, if you got 5 people who all agreed on this, and then they come to the board meeting and they vote for it, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Okay? So that's a bit of an issue because it keeps it down to 4 people on the committee, and finance was one that a lot of people wanted to be on. The difficulty then is they discuss a lot of stuff, and then it comes to the board for approval. But the board members who weren't at the committee don't know what got discussed. They don't know what all the items were that people talked about, what the arguments were for and against. So then you end up either with people uninformed, or you go through all the arguments all over again. Because we never found last time a way to really get summaries out of committees to all the board members so that we all knew what was happening. And I know personally, I did not like not being able to be on the finance committee, and then other people having argued all the stuff through, but I didn't get a chance to put my 2 cents in. So finance, I think, is the one where it makes the biggest difference. Curriculum instruction, I don't think it was ever that big an issue, and community engagement was never that big an issue because you were just, it was always talking about positive things by and large, how you could get people involved, the good things that were happening, and there weren't tough decisions that had to get made. But the finance one, there were tough decisions that had to be made, and most of us didn't want a subset of the board making those decisions. We all wanted to be a part of making those decisions, and so that was kind of what happened. We turned the finance committee into a committee of the whole.
I viewed it to be a little bit different in terms of the committees. I guess like in terms of like curriculum instruction, like I viewed it as like you'd have maybe a couple of the principals and you'd have Chrissy Dom, and then you'd have like, 2 or 3 board member representatives, and then that's where all of it's kind of discussed, and then your board representatives, because otherwise we kind of come to the meeting like we did last month where all this information was like digested upon us, and it was just so much to take in, where it was like, I was like, I don't know what to do with all of this. And so I guess that's kind of how I viewed it. It wasn't just board members on the committees, but it was other members of the district that were also on those committees.
I think that's how I looked at the work team. Is that what we call them?
Work sessions that we were all on, yeah.
We all participated. It wasn't every month, but I think we scheduled there was a schedule on.
They actually were scheduled to happen every month. They were scheduled to happen the first Monday of the month with the board meetings on the third Monday of the month. There were some things that you guys did, like you had some strategic planning sessions, and then those kind of took the place of those works,
That's true.
that wasn't an addition, but that, if you look at past board calendars, that's how it was set. And those typically were virtual. The work sessions were virtual, yeah.
And if people didn't show up, they didn't show up, but that was where we had what you were talking about, where other administrators who were involved in those things would be there at the meeting. So it would be usually a subset of the board, because it usually wasn't all the board that made it to a work session. And that's what kind of took the place of the committees.
Yeah,
It's
so
more
that's kind of
similar to
what
what
like
you're
I
talking
was
about.
thinking in terms of committees, it's not just board members, it's other members of the committee.
But the finance committee was always board, all these were board, they were all just board members, but like I was on curriculum instruction and Chrissy would come to it and she would make reports to that committee and we talked things over with her. But that's like I say, they weren't big decisions usually that were being made. Those, we didn't argue out whether we should take this curriculum or that curriculum.
Yeah, I think we'd be vetting out like, the 3 different curriculums or whatever at that meeting, and then, your board members are coming back and saying, like, okay, well, we did this, this, and this, and my recommendation to the board would be to do this.
Instead of maybe work sessions, could that meeting be considered like a committee Monday? Like you just meet with your committee? Is that something that, does that make sense?
Can I quick ask, Travis, can I put you on the spot?
Please.
Please.
On spot.
I've done that a couple times already, Dave, I apologize. Does the district have a co-pilot access, anything like that, with the AI things?
We do have some access to the Google AI one. I can't remember what the name of it is, but yes, we do have some access to that.
Okay, just curious, to address your situation about summaries and whatnot, at work, we do team meetings and whatnot, and we use,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, the AI that takes all the minutes.
the co-pilot from
Yeah.
Microsoft, and at the end, you record the meeting, it gives you a summary, it gives you a task list of things that you're looking to do. It's a huge time saver, and it allows everybody to get the same information. So I think if we were able to get some technology like that and make that a requirement of the meetings, I think that could address your small member piece and allow everybody to get a good summary and see what actually occurred to make votes and stuff go forward that way. I would personally rather have that than, don't take this the wrong way, but if you put 9, 10 of us in a room, that could be a really long meeting if there's a lot of discussions. I think you could make it smaller, review, and then you could reach out to 1, 2, and have more finite, specific things that we wanted to discuss or not. I think that may make it smoother for everybody involved.
That makes sense. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Oh, it's really, really sweet.
It's pretty slick.
That would be great.
So just wanted to see if we could do that. So
Google Gemini, that's what it is.
Gemini?
Yeah, that's their
Now-
version of it.
that one I've not used, so I can't speak to that one, but we've done quite a bit in my new role with AI, but I've not used that one.
So I guess what I'm not understanding is are we big enough that we need to have all these other committees? I mean,
Speak up, Tom.
Stephanie, you feel like you're getting enough information with no committees?
right,
You think you're getting enough information?
I do, and I think that if I have questions, then I reach out to the people that I need to.
In the short time I've been here, I'm not sure that I feel like I've gotten that information, and I'm not sure where I have the ability to discuss that or not discuss that. Is this meeting where I can bring up and voice some concerns, or is that something that would be better off in a committee that there's discussion and whatnot, rather than having it be out and about? So,
Well, it doesn't actually change anything because the committee meeting is an open meeting too.
okay.
And would that AI be open, would that be something that the public would have access to?
I would think.
Right, it's all open.
I think it has to be.
I guess I do, my own research, and I ask my own questions, and I kind of am on board with you that if there are people in a committee that you're not a part of discussing things, it's hard to make a sound decision when all of the discussion has happened over here, which you weren't part of. And I get the summary thing, making summaries, but it's, I thought that was the point of us, was to hear everything and make
See,
the
and I feel like there's a
decisions.
lot of stuff that goes on before it gets to us, and then we're just like, kind of, okay. Yep.
That's kind of, I feel like sometimes we just get
The icing and not like the
like
full.
a outline or just a piece.
Yeah, and we're just trusting that it was all vetted ahead of time.
Yeah, right.
We get
Right.
60
Instead of being part of that vetting process.
we get a 60 slide show rather than the 2,500 slides that you can show,
Right.
referencing earlier.
We're just not part of the vetting process.
That's a good way of.
See, I'm not sure I'm understanding you correctly, but if I am understanding you correctly, I'm completely on board with it. What I'd like to see change, it's not the amount of information I get to the board meeting here, it's how early we get involved in the
Yes.
process.
Yes.
We get involved, what we've seen over the last 2 years is we get involved at the very last stage of the process,
Mhm.
when you can't really suggest anything because
It's too late.
it's
It's
too
already
late.
done.
You know?
Correct. Yep.
And so, and I don't know that having a committee is gonna change that necessarily. If the committee did change that, that would be great, but that's the piece I wanna change. However we change it, I would like the board members some of them, like a couple of board members here and a couple of board members there, right on different issues, to be involved earlier in the process before it gets to the whole board as an action item or a future action item. Because by the time we get to there, I'll pick one that happened and we managed to fix it, okay? But at one point, we were going to really cut back on the music program in the school. And that's what came to us from the administration. And the community was up in arms, the board was up in arms, that was the first we'd heard of it, and we were not in favor of it at all. But it's really hard to suggest alternatives at that point because they've got this whole plan made out that's based on changing the staffing here and changing the staffing there. And that's nuts and bolts kind of, we can't get down to that level as a board and really be able to make any decisions. Now that one was easy, we could just all say, no, you gotta come back with something else, but a lot of times.
Would a committee have helped that?
Pardon?
Would a committee have helped that?
I don't know. What would have helped if we've been involved in discussions of how we were gonna save money. That would have helped, because when that item came up, somebody on the board would have gone, no, that's a non-starter.
Right.
Don't even go there, that's a waste of your time.
Right.
Okay, and that would have helped the process instead of having to go send it back and do something different. Okay, so that's the piece, and I don't know, if the committee makes that work better, then I'm all in favor of the committee. I didn't think it did last time, but there are things that we can do differently. But that's the big piece that I'm interested in, is just can we get involved in some of the earlier things so that we get 2 cents in early and can say, I don't really think the board wants to go in that direction. Are there other alternatives before everything kind of gets layered up where you don't want to mess with it anymore?
That needs to be part of the framework of what the policy or the other committees are, right? I mean, that's kind of what you're saying, that's part of what we need to be looking at.
Yeah, if that's how the committee structure is set up, so that it gets in early on and it's a way to get some items discussed, and I think that could probably work pretty well. If the committee is just getting reports from the administration after the administration has, in their own mind, worked through everything, then it's not going to be any different from bringing it to the whole board.
Right.
It'll just go to the committee, and the committee will say yes or no, and then it'll come to the board the next.
Yeah, it won't be any different.
But nothing really will happen.
So I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate. Not that I'm dissing what you're saying, but what if I'm on a committee and I may feel that it's going in the right direction as a board member, or not, and you would not feel that way, you're not on that committee. So, I mean, I think we all have somewhat different philosophies too, as board members. So
But if you are there and a part of it, and we're using summary, our artificial intelligence do summaries, we're gonna know that that happened a lot earlier in the process, and then somebody else on the board is gonna go, hold on here. Not everybody on the board thinks you're going in the right direction.
Pretty sure David would call you and say,
oh, and I would want that, I mean, I'm not saying I'm opposed to that, but I'm.
No, because you're certainly right. There are gonna be times when the 2 board members, if that's what it is, who are sitting there and say, yeah, that sounds fine to me, and it's gonna be somebody else. But because we're involved earlier in the process, the word will get out earlier in the process. And so, and maybe the rest of the board will agree with the 2 people on the committee, and that's the direction the board will go too. But at least we'll have a chance to have a better discussion earlier on.
And I'm not disagreeing, I'm just trying to think through it, right, because sometimes decisions have to be made really fast too. And so I think we have to be prepared that we may be called to a meeting if we're on that committee. So if it's a budget thing, something like this year, I mean, we have a lot of moving parts, a lot of months, and so it's more time, which I'm not opposed to, so I don't want to be a naysayer. I'm just saying we have to think about how.
but the committee wouldn't have final say.
That's right, it's still gonna have to come to the board. We're still gonna need a special meeting of the board if it's there, right? So.
But how is having a committee getting you any information?
The only thing that
Sooner.
I could see is that you could have maybe a couple scheduled committee meetings rather than just one school board meeting and not have to try to get an emergency meeting together to try to talk something. Or, excuse me, not even that, but just telling anybody that when you're planning ahead, to David's point, you need to involve this committee to be on there. So, if you're
Right,
talking.
because they're gonna wanna have a say in the process along the way.
Correct. So that instead of just bringing it when it's all been said and done, where you kind of feel like all you're doing is rubber stamping, you don't wanna call out somebody because they've done a lot of work, a lot of the stuff, and it probably makes some sense, but it's not maybe the direction you'd wanna go. It would be nicer to know a month earlier, when they're starting that planning and proposing it, that they need to take that to the finance committee or the curriculum committee as one of their first steps and say, hey, before we go through and do all the nitty gritty, this is kind of where we're coming together, what do you think? And what do you think the board's gonna say, how do you do that? So you're not changing, you're just putting it earlier in the process, to David's point, which helps everybody feel a lot more informed, a lot more time to do the research. You made the comment, you do your own research. When you find out on Wednesday for Mondays, that you have to feel rushed. And how, even if you find something blaring, it's not even something that you might not even be able to change right away, because what you're finding, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. If you find out early in the process, then you can at least direct that way. I'm in 100% agreement with you. I don't know if the committee is the right solution, but I think it's a good start. And if you say, and the expectation is that before you propose changes, involve the committee. And here's the committee you do. Not just before, don't just come looking for approval. Have a little bit of involvement with it.
So then are you creating a policy, a new policy, that if you have these ideas and you wanna do this, first you have to go to this committee?
I'm not sure that I would say that it's a policy.
But I guess I'm saying
Right.
legally,
But it also
Is that
has
a
to
policy?
be not just the board, the
Right.
administration staff needs to be on board with, right, I mean, with all of this from the beginning.
Right. I mean, I think it's an expectation, right? The expectation is to involve us early on and keep us informed, so you can make the most informed decision, because that is your job. Like, as a board member, that is your job,
right?
to make the most informed decision that you possibly can. And information is information.
Right.
Information is knowledge about the topic, so you can
Right.
make that.
I mean, I think, you know, it would be possible to go down that road and say, this is the way we function. I think it would be nicer if it were just an expectation, and that it's the climate of the board, this is how the school district works, this is the board's expectation of the superintendent, this is the superintendent's expectation of how everybody else should be involved. I would, but you could nail it down if you actually had.
Policy to me is black and white. It has to be this way. So then, if they don't follow policy, then we can't, or if they.
I guess I'm not saying I want it to be a policy or
Right.
create a policy, I'm just wondering if you have a process and you're saying, this is how the process works. How are you gonna communicate that out to people? You know, to the staff, to faculty, like this. I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say, like,
How do I establish?
I think
the
it's our
expectation?
expectation.
yeah, how do you establish the expectation and how do they know the steps to follow, I guess?
Given that this sounds like something new, I would want to gather input from the board and then also sit down with the administrative team and say, that's not a problem, right? It's just an opportunity, right? So here's the opportunity we have. How are we going to address it to make sure that we adhere to the communication needs of you? That's what it's like, I hear it as communication,
Yeah.
right? That's really,
As do I,
as you're
and
talking
being a new
about.
board member, I haven't had, the experience, obviously, that some of you have had with poor communication. And so,
in some ways, different communication.
it's just different
Right?
communication, and I guess,
I've been with 3 different, this is the 4th superintendent.
Yeah.
And Tom has 2. And each one had a slightly different way, and even as you went through their terms, they had slightly different ways of doing things. And I'm picking out what I saw as a shortcoming in the last couple of years that I thought would improve things, that wasn't even necessarily a shortcoming before that. It was kind of.
It's just different.
I think that mostly my gut tells me they would welcome that anyway. I really do not feel that our administrators would
No, it's good to have
I
direction.
think it would be
To
a
have clear
direction
direction.
for us to get to know them.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I don't see a big roadblock, at least at this point.
No, no, and I think, agree Denise, and to your point, Stephanie, that unspoken expectations can never be met. So we need to just talk about them and then say, we're okay, this is what we need to do, and then as a team, we would be happy to figure that out. Because the more informed you feel, the higher level of trust you have in the work that we're doing, and over time, this committee structure that we have will either just become the way we do things, or it'll even evolve and get even better. And so it's not that anything is wrong, it's that you need something different, so we're gonna provide something different. That's the way I see it. So.
Just from a point of reference, this is the most discussion I've experienced in a school board meeting in any of the times I've sat and observed or needed to be here to present or do anything. This is the most discussion. I envision this being more of that committee level type thing as well, and that's what's important.
I agree.
I just don't want it to go through committee and then the members that are not in the committee become the rubber stampers.
Right, right.
Well, I think Chris's point about providing some summary information, that way it's the same information that's going out to everybody. And personal feelings are always going to be different in philosophies, but that's, again, why you have, that's why there's 9 people on the board, that's why 9 people engage in a conversation and come to
That
a
way it's
decision.
not my notes, because I'm only gonna write down the things that are important to me.
Right. Administrators that are here, what do you guys think? I mean, are you okay with committees, or does that sound like something good? Ryan, you're not nodding your head over there.
I was with the district when we had committees.
Okay.
You know, and I remember going to finance committees meetings, but to be honest with you, I think when to engage the board, which I've always been a strong believer in doing, you know, with any of my projects and things like that, I think having you guys involved here early on will speak volumes. You know, do we need committees? Part of me feels like all 9 of you want to be a voice that's heard. So do you have to have committees to say you have committees, or are we just a voice of 9 people making that informed decision? You know.
Joel and Travis, anything?
I think it can be good. I think it's hard to say. I'm wondering who the 4 are going to be that are on the finance committee. I think there's a lot of people that want to do it, but I think that Brian's making an interesting point too. Is just, you know, if there could be more discussion in the regular board meetings. You know, I don't know. Do you need the committee meetings? I don't know. But.
This has been wonderful tonight. I mean, this discussion, it's getting the information early, that instead of just getting it at the end to say yes or no. Like David said, I think that's the big thing. But you think, I mean, if we try this, it's a good thing to try. New people, mainly, Ryan, since you had the before.
It was only the first year that I was here that we were committees, and really, I mean, I use my agenda as an example. My Fund 46 things and things like that, the finance stuff, would have been talked at committee, which then only 3 people or 4 people had a say in it. Where I like the voice of 9, you know, to give me the feedback. But I also with facilities, I try to engage board early because I want you to have that informed information to give out to the stakeholders. You know, so I can only speak for my department.
Right. You always let us know right away.
So Lori, I can only speak for myself, but I'll give you an example of what I thought worked really well and what I really appreciated. And that's, there were times when there were fairly big issues that the administration knew were coming up. And they got together with the administrative team, they got 2 board members and occasionally some teachers, and it was a bigger group of people that was having discussions. It wasn't just the administrative team that was having discussions, it was a bigger group. from the very beginning, and the board members could report back to the board how the discussions were going, what things were being talked about. And I thought that raised the chances of getting a good decision at the end, because everybody had a chance to, you know, the working group, I guess that's maybe what I would call it, the working group, invited people to submit suggestions on things.
That's a good idea.
A lot of the suggestions, and then the suggestions were looked at, and a lot of them were silly, and some of them were useful, and some of them, but that gave you a sense of what other people thought about the issue, and then when you crafted a solution to the problem, you could actually communicate why some of the solutions that had been suggested were discarded, why they weren't going to work, and so people didn't feel like, well, nobody cares what I think. It was like, oh, people cared what I thought, and they listened to it, and they investigated it, and they said, it's not going to help. You know, we need to save this much money, and you're saving a few pennies, and that's just not going to do the job, even if you do lots of little things. So, that's the kind of, and that could be done with a committee, or that could be done just by getting board members. We often have had working groups where the superintendent has said, who's interested, and get 2 or 3 board members to get involved in it, because we've done that all along. And it's just a question of, do you get them involved at the end, or do you get them involved in the beginning? That, to me, that's the major issue. And I think you can work with committees. I don't think that's the only way we need to work, but I'm happy to try committees again.
The advantage with the committee is that at least the people would know
Your schedules, you know
who's already there,
exactly.
the schedule, and it's there, at least to start with. Is there anything that says we can't try for Ron's first year committees?
No.
And reevaluate it after a year?
That's what we do every March, every April, when we have our reorganization. And it's like, okay, do we want to continue doing this, or do we want to stop? So we had the committees for several years, and then we decided one April, no, we're not going to do it this year.
And then this April, we just kind of stopped everything because we didn't know.
We said we're going to wait until Ron comes on board, and we'll talk about it next month. So we can stick them in and try them and see if we like them.
How does that sound to everybody? Trying for a year? See how it goes, Tom? What do you think?
We're gonna do this in our retreat.
Do we want to wait that long? That's a month. Or do we want
We did
to
this
decide
long.
now? Do we want to decide now for the 7 of us?
I do it at the retreat. I mean, are we expecting everybody to be at the retreat?
It's Josh. We're not sure about Josh.
I don't know, you 2 are the ones that.
Yeah, he's the one that,
You hadn't heard back?
nothing
About the
more.
retreat.
No.
The last time he was the only one that wasn't available
Right.
on those 2 days. Everyone else was available.
Yes.
If we're gonna have committees, we need to have the whole board.
I agree.
To find out who's interested in being on the committee or whatnot. Maybe, if everybody's interested on some of the committees, I would recommend then that you find somebody to do appointments rather than.
Well, before we did elections, we just
Okay.
we just did elections, and the 4 people that got elected to finance were on finance.
Otherwise, Indian might wrestle.
Yeah.
I'm not a good arm wrestler.
Shoot darts. Or we could have a quick virtual meeting even. See if we can get all of us at a virtual meeting and decide from there. You know, maybe some people aren't gonna wanna be on the finance committee and, want to be on other, and where did we decide we're gonna put personnel? Did we decide that for sure? Because it needs to be somewhere.
You said you
I think personnel and finance
So
are
with finance.
a good match.
Sounds good. Should we do that? Should we try to schedule a virtual meeting?
Okay.
So we can get
The
that
meeting
done?
is to decide if we want to do committees.
I would say to
Who's gonna
which
participate
committee
in
and
which?
who's gonna be on what committees, just for this year.
I mean, do we have a consensus that we want to try it?
Anything else we can make a motion, second, we
We
do a
can take a
vote.
vote right now.
Okay,
We could decide whether we want to do it right now, yeah.
So.
everybody in
Simple
favor of
same time.
committees, say aye.
Is that the way to do it?
We could just have a straw vote,
Okay,
because
perfect.
it would tell us what we need to know, I think.
All right.
Do
Do it
we,
again. Do it again.
everybody in favor of committees, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
I'm
You better wait.
I'm not sure.
Okay, you better wait.
I'm not sure maybe this is really David's idea. Getting information sooner.
That's
That's the
what we
piece I
need.
want, and I don't really care how it happens, so I'm willing to try to do this.
Yeah.
We need it sooner.
Well, then, hearing that, why don't we table it today and then have a discussion about what it looks like
Okay,
on retreat would be
Okay.
great. And it'll give us a chance to have an extended conversation, plus it'll give all of you a chance to do some thinking between now and then also.
that's fine. Anybody else?
I'm just gonna say that getting to that idea right there, that was very enlightening to find out what, you know, who's got reservations, so that's good.
It's just nice to have us all talk about something.
That wraps up my superintendent.
Okay, let's get to the next item. Teaching and learning report. Chris is not here. Jonah, do you know anything about any of that? Okay.
I can, this is just an annual update that's provided for you. So it's
Okay.
been on previous July agendas for many years. So it's
Anybody
just an
have
update.
any questions? Okay, next item. Interim budget report.
I had to say it again.
So things are
I moved it.
pretty close to budget, for Fund 10, Fund 27, we will have a balanced budget. At this time of year, we produce a report that kind of shows where the budget fell with expenses, but it doesn't include a transfer to Fund 27. So we are still waiting on some grant revenue that will help us in Fund 27, and then whatever's not left, we balance it out to zero. So any revenue that didn't cover expenditures from the state or federal is balanced by a local transfer. And so this year it'll be about 2.35 million. This is typical. Next year it actually will go down with additional state aid. It won't go down much. It'll go down a little bit, but it'll give us new revenue, so it's a good thing. One of the things that we worked on this year with our healthcare brokers is just looking at our IBNR. It's the estimated cost of insurance claims that have not been reported. So our health insurance is self-funded, which means that for the most part, we take on all the risk of our health plan and we try to collect enough premium to cover all the claims and pharmacy costs that we have. This year, the medical plan ran really high, I guess you could say. It was about $768,000 of additional expenses that we had to adjust at year end. So it's huge.
A lot of babies.
We've had a lot of babies and we have a lot more in the fall that are upcoming. And that could be part of it. We are trying to fully wrap our mind around exactly what is causing us so much cost. We don't have a ton of individuals that are called high-cost claimants. They're like over $100,000 in one person. We have like 4 people, but that's typical. We typically have about 4 people. So we're trying to figure out why is it running so hot and why is it running so much higher than the premiums that we collected. All of that said, we were able to close out this last year through June. We were able to close it out. We were able to still have a balanced budget. But just going forward, that is a really, really big challenge. We had about $4.1 million of spending on our medical insurance, and so it's an area that we need to look at. We need to figure out what we can do. We're going to meet with several individuals in the upcoming month or so, and to try to find some different options for us.
What was premium revenue if your claims were 4.1?
So at district expenses, we had about 3.3 million that we counted throughout the course of the year as premium expenses. So throughout every month, you were seeing those expenses go up. But when it came to the end of the year, we have to adjust it to what do they anticipate is that has not yet been recorded. That was over $500,000 that they say that we haven't seen yet, that we haven't paid, but has been incurred in the months leading up to June. And so, through June. So anyways, we previously expended $3.3 million. We ended the year at $4.1 million. So
But what did you bring in premiums? Like what is?
from our staff,
Yeah.
our staff are paying, I want to say, it depends on the plan, but they're paying about 12% of the expected costs. At year end, they don't pay any of the additional costs. So throughout the course of the year, they're paying 12% of the expected costs.
So we have, like you're saying, we have a big net loss.
In the medical plans, yeah, it's like over budget, but I would say the overall budget is balanced because we had enough savings in other places that we could do that. We had additional revenue.
Are you able to drill down to see like what the loss was in?
For medical,
For medical?
it's like a very fresh topic because we just got these IBNR estimates in this month. We got them this month, so.
So you really don't know quite yet.
So we don't know quite yet why the costs are so high, and we're going to look at that. If it's something in our plan design that incentivizes certain surgeries, or if there's, we don't know yet. We're going to try to look at like what is it that. Is there anything that we can change in our plan design to make it run in budget and at a lower cost?
Sure.
Could be that services went up too. Services in general.
Yes.
Gone up.
They have.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, just like everything else.
Yes, that's part of
It's
it.
just part of it.
Jonah, do you still think it was a good idea we went to self-funding?
At this point, I would say no, but we still have to gather more information.
Can we still go back to?
Yes.
We can.
Yes.
Isn't really a better option? Don't we really want to get to be part of a consortium of some sort, right? You want to spread the cost out over more people, whether we do it self-funded or whether we do it, but really,
Captive.
really we need to get part of a bigger group if we want to be able to keep the costs lower, don't we?
I think I don't know that it's like an automatic like silver bullet that would solve everything that we're trying to solve. To join a captive or to join a consortium. We are part of a cooperative that helped us like design or like secure a bunch of direct contracts with medical providers.
Right.
So we are part of a collaborative of like a dozen school districts, but could joining the captive be part of the solution? I think that's something we can look into. It's something that we can ask. I'm trying to look at self-funded options, fully insured options, everything that would, provide us, great benefits for employees and also, come in and hopefully at a lower cost.
You remember, David, we had WEA insurance, and I think the reason that I was on the board back then, and the reason we went to self-funding, I think we transitioned over time, but was that when you're in a pool, you also run the risk of other schools bringing the premiums up too. So at that point, it wasn't our district that was creating the issue, it was other districts. So you always run that risk of, is it better or not? I think it's, of course, a piece sometimes to know, and it's year to year.
Have you looked at the state insurance?
I think the statewide insurance program is like too unaffordable. It's very, very expensive premiums. It's like offered certain groups have it, like municipalities have it.
I work for Green Lake County, and that's what we use.
Yeah.
Is the state. They pay a portion of it.
It's something we could explore again and just see what the cost would be through the state plan, just to see what the cost would be. But I think historically it's been much more expensive than other plans that we've in Ripon have had.
And WEA doesn't have health insurance anymore, do they?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
So if you only typically have like 4 high cost claimants, can you raise like the like the premium amount on the stop loss, like to like 120 or something like that? Would that help kind of alleviate some of that cost?
Yes, so raising that stop loss limit for an individual could lower the premium cost for the stop loss insurance.
If you only have like 4 people that fall in under, you know, under that 100,000 or whatever, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
is it probably at like 100,000 right now?
Yeah,
Okay, if you raised it, yeah, that limit of
to 125, yeah. And I know of other groups that are in our cooperative that have 125. So that is something that can help lower the premium that we have on our stop loss. And so, yeah, that is something that we're kind of thinking about, is just things like that.
Does that affect the people getting, like, how does that affect you? It doesn't, I don't know.
No, it affects the employer side of things. So like, it affects the school district side of things, like when somebody has a high cost claim, it would go up to the 125 before the stop loss insurance kicks in.
So it could be more money out of our pocket for those types of claims, but we'd be spending less money each month in the premium to.
I just wondered if you had to do some control.
So who do you all work with? Do you have is it just you doing all this, or who are you?
We have a team, MMA is our broker firm, and we're gonna actually meet next week, Monday. So they're the experts that we pay to help us, guide our plan a little bit. But we are also gonna meet with our third-party administrator, Prairie States. We're gonna meet with HBS, which is our current network provider. So we're gonna meet with them just to see what can they look at within our claims data that can help us understand why costs are so high. And hire their actuaries to help us, set our premiums at why, so we're gonna meet with those groups, MMA, Prairie States, HBS. We have met with some other self-funded groups, and we're going to look at fully insured groups as well. So we're gonna meet with just a bunch of different. And if we make any changes, in fact, we can almost guarantee that we'll make some sort of change, but as we make those changes, we'll bring it to committee, bring it to the board, and look, and we'll have probably a collection of employees as well that'll help us look at the options. There'll always be options that we can look at. So
If that does change, can we still choose to have Dr. Miller be the person?
that would be a big question too.
Okay.
Do we pay to have the clinic and have that relationship with Dr. Miller? Obviously, he's been an excellent provider. And so
Legacy is wonderful. I have the insurance through Todd, and but I get it.
How many of the school district employees utilize the insurance?
We have about 170 employees on the plan, and we have about 500 live. And it's, I'm trying to remember what the percentage is. I don't know if it's 75% that are on the plan, something.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonah.
So that's the big thing that I wanted to just talk about. We have the insurance kind of challenges that we're dealing with. The other challenge too, as we look at 25, 26, which I just want to kind of just talk about a little bit, because we're going to have our first version of the budget that we approve in September at the annual meeting. It's just looking at, we're trying to monitor Odyssey's enrollment. They've lost more students this summer than we anticipated. And so we are just trying to monitor that. They've lost about 50 more students than I expected the last time I kind of reported this to you. And so I don't think anything else has changed. It's just, they do a survey to find out whether the parents are staying, whether the kids are staying or going. And they don't always tell us in that survey. Either they don't take the survey or they don't tell us that they're leaving when they actually are. And so, anyways, we're losing about 50 more students than we had hoped for. One thing though in the state budget that's really good is that the open enrollment tuition rate increased by about $1,100. We are still, very far net positive, so that increase of $1,100 per student really helps absorb the loss of some of the students that we've had. But those are the two challenges right now as we're looking at the 25-26 budget that are on my mind. We've already talked about federal issues that's already taken care of, but now we're looking at health insurance challenges and we're looking at enrollment challenges and just trying to make sure we have a balanced budget. So,
Do we know how other virtual districts with virtual schools are doing? I mean, are we an outlier because we've lost a lot of students, or is everybody losing a lot of students? Is this a statewide problem? Do you have any ideas?
From what we've, Sam Benke, it monitors a lot of what's going around the state, and she believes that it's happening kind of around the state as they're changing the rules at the state level in terms of how much time students need to be on the screen, and also just other tweaks that they've made. But a lot of parents don't like that they're mandating so much more time on the screen and they're going to homeschooling. And so that's where we're losing most of our kids. So
What is the anticipated enrollment for Odyssey?
they were at 267 last fall. And this year, I think they're going to start the year at I think they're going to be at 135 or something like that.
That's if we started today. Obviously, people can register. Registration is open.
Right. Well,
So it's always our hope that we're going to continue to get a steady flow of people that are registering. But as of today, we'd be looking at
dropping by half.
Yep.
What are we at percentage-wise for registered? Did you just say that?
No, it's
okay.
open. So I said we always, not everybody registers on day one, although on day one, I think we had over 130 registrants. It was a high number. It was a very high number comparatively, from what I was told from years past. But I was just saying that between now and the start of school, the registration enrollments will continue to happen. So it's hard to predict what it actually will be, but if we started tomorrow, we'd be about half.
So unfortunately, there's some challenges we're dealing with, but we'll find solutions, and you guys will be part of that. And so, anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about the last year that ended. Like I said, we're going to end with a balanced budget, which is, I think, very critical. And then for next year, we're facing these challenges that we need to kind of figure out options so that we can end the year with a balanced budget for next year, for the 25-26 school year. So.
Our reserves are still very healthy, it seems like. Right?
Yes, yes.
Did you have a question?
I was just gonna say, so health insurance has to be decided on, it'll be effective January 1st, correct?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
So hopefully we'll be having
It is,
meetings.
it's hard.
Jonah and I had talked, and we wanted to create that team of people that cast the net, see who's interested in talking about all these things right away in September when everybody's back. Because you're right, it is a condensed timeline.
Yeah, it is. It's hard.
And the other reason that we're trying to reach out now to all the brokers to just gather as much information as we can to be able to share as much information as we can with the team of people that come together.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonah.
Anything in the interim food service that we need to know?
Not yet. We're still collecting, our revenue comes in slower than our expenses are paid out. So we always pay out Aramark before we get the revenue from the state back. And so anyways, a lot of our revenue is behind, and I think we're gonna be close to budget. Our budget though is, a deficit of $60,000 because we're offering free breakfast. But I think we're gonna be somewhere around that mark when everything's settled. So
I think you're done being on the hot seat.
Can you call Travis back up?
I want Brian's turn.
Yeah, Brian, it's your turn. Yeah. All right, let's convene into closed session. Do we have, we'll wait till everybody leaves.
We have to vote on that.
Oh, yeah, let's make a, do we have a motion to consider adjourning to executive session?
So moved.
Chris, a second?
Second.
David? And let's vote. No?
No, a block.
I have to too.
Did some of you get it?
Yes.
You didn't? Denise, did you?
Oh, now I got it.
Hi, Roger.
Good night, guys. See you around.
I still did.
Okay.
My computer's shut down several times.
You can second.
Yeah.
There you go.
We talk too much, and then it
That's right.
decides it
I don't-
doesn't want, yeah.
I don't keep doing it.